Hey everybody, it's Matt again, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to take you through this house right here behind me, and we're actually going to stop and talk about things that you should look for as an agent when you're walking through a home with a client. Now remember, you're not a home inspector, and neither am I, so we can't diagnose these issues, but what we can do is look out for things that could be a red flag, things that could point to a bigger issue. And as an agent, it's going to be your responsibility to find these things, notice them, and help your client get an inspector in there to figure out what's really going on so that the problem can be diagnosed. So let's get to it. Let's get in here and see what we can find. So first, I want to talk about some of the things that we can see immediately from the outside, the front of the home. So let's take a look. We can see the bricks here, and we can see that there's not any cracking in them, and what you're looking for is some sort of zigzag pattern that follows the mortar in between the bricks. That could be indicative of some kind of foundation problem or settling, something like that. So that's something to keep an eye out for. But here, all of our bricks look pretty good, so that's not a problem. So the wood siding appears to be painted, which is good because it protects it. So you want to make sure it's painted, not exposed wood. And it doesn't appear to be rotten or dried out anywhere. And it actually looks like it's all in pretty good shape, so I don't see any concerns there either. Next, let's look at the wood along the edges. So we're talking about kind of the frame along the garage door, along the roof, and that's called your soffit and your fascia. All of that wood, again, appears to be in pretty good condition. I don't see any evidence of anything that would be troubling, such as evidence of water damage, evidence of a hole in the roof, or anything like that. The wood looks like it's in pretty good shape on the front of this house. So I don't see any real concerns. So looking up here under just the top of our roof, we can see it looks like there's some evidence of some animals that may be living in there, probably some birds, because we see some droppings coming out on the front of the house. Now that's probably not a huge concern, but it is something that you may want to check out because animals can be destructive, and if you did have some animals living up in the roof in the attic up in there, they could cause some problems. So that's just something that you want to keep an eye on. All right, so over here we can get a different view of the house, and what I want to look at specifically is the roof. So this is a pitched roof, as most homes that you're familiar with probably are. There are some areas of the country where other types of roofs are more popular in homes, but in most areas of the country you're going to see pitched roofs like this with shingles on it. So one thing you want to look for is just look at the shingles themselves. Do they appear to be damaged at all? Damaged shingles are going to look like shingles that have peeled up, shingles that are cracked, shingles that maybe are somehow deformed, warped, and those shingles aren't going to be doing their jobs because they're not protecting the roof. They're going to be letting moisture and sunlight in to the bare wood beneath. But taking a look here, we don't really see evidence of any major shingle damage, and that's great. Now, one thing that we can't tell from here is if there was some kind of damage due to hail. Now, depending on where you are, hail could be a big problem. We're here in Texas, and here in Texas, hail is routinely a big issue. People get roofs replaced all the time because of hailstorms. But you can't really tell if there's hail damage just by looking at it, especially from this distance. So you're probably always going to want to have a roofer come in and take a look at a roof, especially if you're in an area that's really prone to hail damage like Texas is. You can see some tiles on the roof that are a slightly lighter color than some other tiles. So to me, that's an indication that those have been replaced at some point. So there's been some patching going on in this roof. So there were probably leaks at some point, or there was some kind of work that had to get done, and it looks like they patched it up. So that also to me suggests that this roof is not brand new. So we're going to want to find out how old it is, because a roof has a useful life of about 20 years. That's about all you can expect out of a roof, even under good conditions. So we know that this one is a little bit older, but we're going to want to find out exactly how old.